Season 4 of Stranger Things might just be the best season yet, but splitting it into 2 parts has left fans with a ton of questions as they wait for Part 2 to drop. What will 11's powers look like now? Is there hope for Vecna's victims? Keep watching for the biggest head-scratchers of the season so far. In Season 3's epic finale, Hopper appears to sacrifice himself to close a gate to the Upside Down, but fans knew that they hadn't seen the last of Hawkins' police chief, and their hopes were confirmed when Netflix released a teaser trailer for Stranger Things Season 4 that revealed Hopper not only survived the explosion, but also ended up in Russia, somehow.
I gotta hand it to you, commies. You're committed.
The first part of Season 4 spends quite a bit of time with Hopper as he's interrogated by Russian soldiers and sent off to a prison camp. Hopper befriends a less-than-loyal prison guard and begins plotting his escape. Through all of this, the show stubbornly refuses to explain exactly how Hopper traveled from Hawkins to Russia. Sure, it could be as simple as the Russians carefully smuggled him out of the country, but this is Stranger Things we're talking about, so there may be more to it than that. The answer likely has everything to do with the mysterious connection between Hawkins and the Upside Down, and fans can only hope that Volume 2 of Season 4 will finally provide some answers. A new big bad has made its way from the Upside Down to Hawkins to terrify the town. The gang calls this new threat Vecna, after a dark wizard in a Dungeons & Dragons campaign who can cast curses on his foes. Vecna is causing his victims to have vivid hallucinations, and when those horrible visions become strong enough, he uses his powers to crumple their bodies and remove their eyeballs.
I don't know what this freak did to Chrissy, but he did something sick.
These are some of the most gruesome deaths in all of Stranger Things, but there might be a way for Vecna's victims to be saved. When Max is pulled into the Upside Down during one of Vecna's imposed visions, she gets a closer look into what the wizard appears to be doing. Max sees the bodies of Vecna's victims strung up on pillars, and later the group wonders if Vecna is using them to increase his own psychic powers. In Chapter 7, one tells 11 that his victims are still alive in his mind. Is it possible that the same is true of the people he killed as Vecna? If so, there might be a way to save everyone retroactively. It's a long shot, but in the world of Stranger Things, it wouldn't be that crazy. Vecna's curse is terrorizing Hawkins, and anyone afflicted with the curse begins having visions tied to their past trauma. Threaded throughout those visions are images of an antique grandfather clock. After seeing the clock several times, anyone with the visions comes face to face with Vecna himself. In the vision, Vecna puts his claw over his victim's head and does something to their mind. Meanwhile, in the real world, the victim's body is lifted into the air and crumpled like a ball of paper before the eyes get removed. The violence of the murders and the seeming randomness of those targeted sends the entire town into a panic.
These murders are ritualistic sacrifices.
The main Stranger Things gang becomes even more concerned with stopping the attacks when one of their own is afflicted by the curse. Max thinks that her hours are numbered when she starts seeing Vecna's visions. Her friends realize that by playing her favorite music at the peak of Vecna's attack, Max is able to find a way to escape the vision and survive. Unfortunately, that doesn't break her curse entirely, and Max remains a target for Vecna. Hopefully, they'll find a true cure for the curse in Volume 2 of Season 4. When Hopper shows up in Russia, it becomes clear that the Soviet Union has a deeper connection to the Upside Down than anyone had previously assumed. As surprised as Hopper is to find himself alive, not to mention halfway across the world from Hawkins, his biggest surprise is just around the corner. It turns out that there's a special plan in place for some of the prison's most problematic residents. The Russians have a Demogorgon they've been feeding batches of prisoners to.
You know why they feed captive predators live prey? Because if they don't, the predator gets bored.
The Demogorgon brings up a whole slew of new questions for Stranger Things fans to puzzle over. It looks like the Russians plan on using the Demogorgon as a weapon, and if that's the case, why is it hanging out inside a remote prison? And how did they manage to capture a Demogorgon in the first place? The exact link between 11 and the Upside Down is one of the biggest mysteries in all of Stranger Things. Her abilities have opened and closed gates to that alternate reality, but it's never been clear whether or not those abilities have any definite cause and effect connection to the world that haunts Hawkins. This season, more than any other, has highlighted the fact that 11 and the Upside Down are intertwined in ways that are still being worked out. Some American scientists, like Dr. Owens, believe that 11's powers can stop the evil forces at work in the Upside Down and finally bring peace to Hawkins. Others think that 11 is the cause of all the trouble, and right now it looks like their argument might have more evidence backing it. In the last episode of Volume 1, 11 seemingly opens the first gate to the Upside Down when she defeats 1. There are still too many unknowns to put this question to rest, but the answer will probably have a big impact on the fate of everyone in Hawkins. All of the drama in Stranger Things ultimately circles back to Hawkins, Indiana. When evil starts climbing its way into the real world, it always seems to break through Hawkins first. Despite having learned so much about the Upside Down through years of conflict, no one in Hawkins appears to have figured out why their town is a hotspot for supernatural disasters.
Some people, they say our town is cursed, they just don't know why.
Hawkins' connection to the Upside Down clearly has something to do with 11, Dr. Brenner, and the experiments with superpowered children. Right now, though, that connection is like the chicken and egg question. Is Hawkins plagued by evil because 11 opened a gate to the Upside Down in the town, or did that gate open because the Upside Down was always connected to the town? Dr. Brenner, aka Papa, returns in the middle of this run of episodes. 11's life has completely changed in the years since she last saw him, and from the looks of it, his life has changed quite a bit too. In Season 1, Dr. Brenner seemed like an obvious antagonist for the show. However, now he's apparently working on behalf of 11. Dr. Brenner is helping her regain her powers, but he hasn't said anything about his reasons for doing so, or what he's been doing since he left Hawkins. Whatever Dr. Brenner has been doing will have a big impact on what happens to 11 and the people of Hawkins. It seems like he's joined the faction of the government that believes 11 can save the town and bring an end to the Upside Down forever, but we can't be too sure that's the case. After all, Dr. Brenner is the one who experimented on 11 and the other children in the first place. He's obviously put much of his energy into creating the facility that will help 11 regain her powers, but what is his real motivation for doing so? Don't rule Dr. Brenner out as a villain just yet.
You chose to trust me once. I'm asking you to trust me again.
Chapter 7 packs in some major reveals, including the true story of what happened to the children who were used for experiments alongside 11. Now it appears that 1 was the first child to display powers, and it's possible that Dr. Brenner and the other scientists somehow used 1 to create other superpowered children. Somehow 11's powers became even more potent than 1's, because when the two square off, she is able to defeat him and rip open a gate to the Upside Down in the process. While 1 may have been defeated, he isn't dead. Somehow he's able to survive in the Upside Down, and his survival transforms him into the creature known as Vecna. Does 1's survival imply some connection between his powers and the Upside Down? Was he possibly saved by the Mind Flayer? The answers aren't clear, but they'll probably come to light as the gang finds a way to put an end to Vecna's murderous rampage through the town. During most of Stranger Things Season 4 Volume 1, 11 is on a mission to regain her powers. Sam Owens and a group of government agents ask 11 to come with them so they can help her get her powers back to save Hawkins. 11 agrees, only to later discover that Dr. Brenner is working with Owens. For once, it seems like Dr. Brenner is one of the good guys, as he helps 11 to uncover some of the traumatic memories that her mind has forced her to forget. 11's lost powers are somehow linked to her lost memories, but the true significance of that connection remains unclear. In the final episode of Volume 1, 11 remembers her battle with 1 and everything else that happened to her at the Hawkins lab. Does that mean she now has her powers back, or will she end up getting new powers? The answers, when they come, will probably reveal more about the origin of 11's powers and the future of Hawkins. Supernatural happenings take center stage in Stranger Things, but this season the romantic drama has also been dialed up. All of our favorite characters might be involved in life or death battles for the fate of their entire town, but they also have love on their mind. Mike and 11 have a big fight right before she leaves to regain her powers, so their relationship is currently in question. Similarly, Jonathan and Nancy struggle to make long-distance work, and Steve's feelings for Nancy are bubbling back to the surface. It's not just current couples who are struggling in the romance department. Max broke up with Lucas between seasons, but there's still an obvious spark of feelings between them. Will seems to be struggling with complicated feelings for Mike, and his mother ran off to Russia to save Hopper, so there are romantic possibilities all over the globe.
Sometimes I think it's just scary to open up like that.
Obviously, stopping Vecna and saving the world is everyone's top priority, but who could blame any of them for having other concerns? Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.